The history of China reaches back over 4,000 years and has seen the invention of technologies such as silk, paper, gunpowder, and umbrellas, among others. China has fought wars. She has conquered neighbors and been conquered by them. The capital of China is Beijing, and its population is 11 million.
Wait, sir.
China is the world's most populous country, with a whopping 1.35 billion people.
OMG.
Founded on October the 1st, 1949, the People's Republic of China is a socialist republic ruled by a single party, the Communist Party of China. China spans approximately 9.8 million square kilometers, and her official language is Mandarin.
Gender relations in modern China. Since the establishment of the People's Republic for China in 1949, conditions for women have improved. Women started to be protected under the Constitution, which states, "Women in the People's Republic of China can enjoy equal rights with men in all spheres of life, political, economic, cultural, social, and family life." Furthermore, the Chinese government, in cooperation with the United Nations and other international organizations, have actively strengthened its exchanges and cooperation to address women's equality in China. More specifically, we would be looking at the following headings: the economy, politics, education, health, marriage and the family, and legal guarantees of women's rights and interests. Women and the economy. The state has made the guarantee of equal employment opportunities between women and men and the sharing of economic resources and results of social development the top priority for the advancement of gender equality and the development of women. The state has worked out and adopted a series of policies and measures to ensure that women can equally participate in the economic development, enjoy equal access to economic resources and effective services, enhance their self-development ability, and improve their social and economic status. Some ways this is done is by encouraging women to start business and become re-employed, enhancing social security for urban women, and safeguarding the legitimate rights and interests of all working women. Women and politics. Women's ability to be involved in the management of state and social affairs has been constantly strengthened, and their ability in handling political affairs has gradually enhanced. China's constitution clearly stipulates the basic principle that men and women have equal political rights. The law on the protection of rights and interests of women has made further stipulations to ensure that women can participate in decision-making and management. Women and education. In China, women enjoy the same rights and opportunities as men to receive education. Such rights and opportunities are clearly defined in China's education law, compulsory education law, and vocational education law. The state takes concrete measures and actions to ensure that girls receive at least 9 years of compulsory education and that women have more opportunities to receive secondary and higher education. The state is determined to eliminate illiteracy among young and middle-aged women, promote lifelong education for women, and extend their average years of education. Women and health. The Chinese government considers women's health an area of priority in promoting gender equality and the development of women by satisfying women's demands for health care services at all periods of their life, lowering the mortality rate of women in pregnancy and childbirth, actively promoting high-quality family planning services, and strengthening the prevention and treatment of HIV/AIDS, showing special concern for women in this regard, just to name a few. Women, marriage, and the family. In the early 1950s, the marriage law of the People's Republic of China clearly stipulated women's equal status in marriage and the family. Today, women have a lot more to say in decision-making concerning their own marriage and play a bigger role in family decisions. Their personal and property rights are also better protected. Legal guarantees of women's rights and interests. The state's legal system for protecting women's legitimate rights and interests have been improved constantly by adopting a number of measures, some of which are gradually setting up a socialized work mechanism for protecting women's rights and interests, combating domestic violence against women, stringently cracking down on crimes of abducting and trafficking in women, and protecting the legal rights of female criminals and criminal suspects, in that the state strictly observes the system of separate jails and management for male and female criminals. It is obvious to all that great progress has been achieved in the promotion of gender equality and women's development in China over the past decade. Although China has made strides to change the position of women in society, the law is not always practiced in the streets, homes, and workplaces.
Role of women in China, then and now. According to Confucian beliefs in ancient China, women were inferior to men. Chinese men and women held Confucian beliefs to a high standard in ancient China. Most traditional morals and values of Chinese men and women were obtained from Confucian ideas. Confucius also believed that the most obedient women were illiterate. Thus, in ancient China, women were not educated. Confucian ideas indicated that a woman's role in society was only to do things within the household. A woman's role was ultimately a housewife, and their duties were to cook, clean, and take care of children, while men held jobs and provided for the family. It was not acceptable for women to have ambitions of their own. They could not obtain an education or hold jobs within society. Women also had many pressures at the time, including arranged marriages, foot binding as a sign of beauty, and the duty to have a son. Fathers are the ones who had a final say in who their daughters were to marry. Parents of the bride and groom consulted and ultimately decided the fate of their children's lives. Once married, women moved in with their husbands' families and were to obey family rules and respect all of his relatives. A newly married couple would live with the husband's siblings, parents, and grandparents. In 1949, arranged marriages were outlawed. Females were able to choose their husbands themselves, and families eventually became able to be a part of their daughter's marriage. Women in today's China no longer agree to live with the husband's families and set their own timeline for having children. Women at one point were expected to be submissive to the husband and family to bear a son. When Chinese women had a male son, they were considered of high value because male heirs carried on the family name and were viewed as having a greater chance at success in life. If a woman could not produce a son, rich males often would take concubines with the hopes of obtaining a son. This was a sign of male power that women had to accept. As if that was not enough for Chinese women to deal with, in ancient China, women were also pressured into foot binding. Foot binding was a slow and painful process that usually started with young girls at the age of 6 or 7, since their bones were soft and their toes could break easily. Small feet were viewed as a sign of beauty. Bound feet were a status symbol. They were a mark of class. This concept became so popular that males did not accept a wife unless they had bound feet. After it was banned in 1912, many women continued to bind their feet secretively, and some survivors from that period still live today. Instead of foot binding in ancient China, modern-day women face the pressures of the one-child policy. In the 1970s, China initiated the one-child policy, which was established with the hopes of controlling China's population. Women who had more than one child faced the consequences of losing her job, being forced to have an abortion, and possible imprisonment. Gender preference is still an issue in China, especially since the one-child policy was initiated in the 1970s. However, women are doing a great deal to confirm their deserved equality in Chinese society. Education in China has come a long way, especially since Mao, the communist leader, came to power in 1949. Professor Zhang Zilong of the Center for Human Rights Studies noted in 1949 illiteracy among women in China was at 90%, but by 1995 the statistic had dropped to 24.05%. The average years of schooling for a girl in society increased significantly as women proceeded to higher education. Women then were able to acquire just about any job a man could do. Some climbed the leadership pole, while others did hard labor. With that said, women are now placing value on establishing a career before getting married. They want to be economically independent before settling down to have a family. In recent years, feminist parties have demanded equal pay among all workers, men and women alike. Women make 40% of the household income in China today. As mentioned before, the most important thing in Chinese women's life today is her career. Since women are educated and often hold jobs in society, men are finding it harder to find wives that are interested in having children right away. Since 1912, China has gone through many changes, especially for women in society. In modern-day China, women are more respected. They are commonly viewed as equals to men in society. What used to be tradition is no longer valued. Due to westernization, women are able to become educated, hold their own jobs, and choose their own husbands. Women in China are still fighting an uphill battle for full equality. However, they have come a long way since the dynasty era in ancient China. From housewives with no ambitions to educated career women in leadership positions, Chinese traditions and values have changed and ultimately have had a positive impact on women in Chinese society.